Welcome, everybody. Love good old Dolly Parton. Glad that she could join us today. So great to see you all again and to have you spend time with us. I know this is a busy time of year. Some of you have already started school, some of you haven't. Some of you are like right on the edge and you start next week. So thank you so much for being here. For those who don't know me, my name is Sharon and I'm a Senior Client Success Manager here at K-12 Insight. I'm going to be your MC for today's office hours discussion. While we're going through our housekeeping, I'd love to hear who's here, of course, what district you're from. Go ahead and drop that into the chat if you'd like. Just like last month, today we'll have a few slides, then we'll take those down so we can focus on our panelists and not the slide deck in our conversation. When you came in, you were automatically muted, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. You can use the chat or share a comment to ask a question. You can also raise a hand and I'm happy to bring you off mute if you feel like you have a question that would be easier to talk through. I have Olivia from our K-12 Insight team with us. She's behind the scenes. She'll make sure she interrupts me if I miss anything. And so we'll be helping guide us behind the scenes as things come up. The webinar will be recorded and will be emailed to you tomorrow as well, so you can rewatch or share with any of your colleagues. So to get us kicked off, we have with us three guest speakers from across the country. We have Vashon Hill, who's joining us from Plainfield Public Schools in New Jersey. And then we also have Teresa Tanner and Trish Gray, who are joining us from Spokane, Washington. So literally opposite sides. I'm really excited for y'all to hear what they have to say, as both have done tremendous work getting their accounts dialed in for maximum usage. So with that, I'd love for you all to meet them and learn a little bit more about them, who they are, their district as a whole. So Vashon, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Vashon Hill from Plainfield Public Schools, Plainfield, New Jersey. Just a little bit about our district here. We have almost about 10,000 students here, including our early childhood campus as well. We have about 40 workflows with Let's Talk. We have 15 campuses, and we have 11 custom forums and almost 4,000 Let's Talk dialogues. And our current CX score is 8.6.
And Vashon, how long have you been at Plainfield Public Schools?
I've been with Plainfield for about 8 years now. In February, it'll be 9 years. But I've been here about 8 years. I started off in the classroom, teaching, and then right after that, I was able to get this job as Chief of Marketing and Communications.
Perfect. Well, welcome. Excited to have you here. Vashon is who I work with very closely on their implementation. So excited to have him here today. Spokane would love to learn a little bit more about you. Teresa, I'll pass it over to you, and then Trish, have you talk about yourself as well.
Good morning. My name is Teresa Tanner. I am the social media and marketing specialist for the communications department for Spokane Public Schools. I started in February of 2022, and we launched Let's Talk in the fall of 2021. So when I started, it was still a pretty new platform, kind of just getting rolling. And when I came in, they said, here. And so I kind of had a crash course in what it was and what it could do. And so over the time that I've been here, we've really developed it to really serve our community in the best way possible.
Fun fact, Teresa and I started at K-12 Insight in February of 22, and she started at Spokane in February 22. And so both of us were kind of newbies learning this together. And it was really fun to have that partnership. And then we got to bring Trish in. And Trish, tell us a little bit about yourself. And make sure you unmute yourself. There we go.
Hi, I'm Trish Gray. I'm the office manager for communications, Spokane Public Schools. I work side by side with Teresa on the Let's Talk platform. I have been here, well, more than a couple years, since I started May 2nd of 1990. So going on 35. And I do a lot of the setting up new clients, setting up the new topics, setting up the new users. In addition, so Teresa and I kind of partner together with making sure everything is always up to date on our Let's Talk.
Yeah, thank you. You've been a fun addition to the Let's Talk team. So excited to have everyone here with us. So I love that with the power of technology, we can all be in these different time zones. I saw some of the people who are saying when they're here, I think we're touching on every time zone today, which is really fun. So today we're going to hear from both of these districts of what they've done to make their accounts as efficient as possible as they've grown. We'll hear how they've promoted it to get users in their community on board. And during all this, like I said, please drop in any questions in the chat. These really are some experts that we have with us. So we'd love to hear from you, and we'll make sure that we go ahead and chat. So with that, we're going to dive into our panel discussion. I'm going to stop sharing my slides that I have on up. We'll bring them back at the end as we introduce what next month's topic will be, but then we'll just have a really great conversation with everybody. So as we're here, I would love, let me see, there we go, just make sure, there we go, that I wasn't making anything. Okay, so this question is going to be for both of our districts. We have some veterans who have been here, Trish, for 30 plus years, and Teresa, like myself, are relatively new. But I know Teresa and Vashon, when you came into your current positions, Let's Talk was there, but it wasn't really fully established. There was a lot of room for growth for both of your districts. So what was it that made you really want to dive in to expand Let's Talk at your current district? And Teresa, I'm going to put you on the spot and have you go first.
Yeah, so like I said, I started just a couple months after we had launched the platform, and our community was still getting used to using it, as were the users that had been onboarded. It was really a haphazard system where you weren't sure who was going to answer, or if they had been trained, if they had just been added. And I was finding, as I was kind of managing the system, that a lot of the time I was having to direct customers out of the platform because they wanted to connect with somebody at their schools. And they would be on their school page thinking that they were reaching out to their school and not realizing that it was actually coming to somebody at the district. And so there was a lot of information that I could give, general information about district-wide policy and district-wide occurrences, but not specific to any of our individual schools. And we have 57 schools. So that's a lot of information that is happening day to day that I just don't have the resources for, versus the administrators at a school and the office staff at a school. They are familiar with their communities and what's happening in not just in their building, but in the lives of their students and their families. So getting them connected into that system was really important for me to see how it could become the most efficient and effective system. That and it would also allow us to collaborate with schools, so they could get that district to support that they needed for their families, while also, being the people that their families trusted the most, that they wanted to talk to their principal, they wanted to figure out what was happening at the school level. So that was the driving force behind how can we make this system really effective for our users to use. So the expectation is I am on my school's page, I complete the Let's Talk form, and it will go to somebody at my school.
I love that, because like you said, 57 schools, that's a lot. And I know we've chatted in the past where you're like, one of my pain points prior to was you'd get the email that was forwarded and then forwarded and then forwarded, and it lands with you and you're like, wait, hold on a second. Now I have to go back to the original person that forwarded it because some information was lost. And then now you're able to track it all in one place, which is a real big time saver. So I love that. Vashon, what was it that made you really kind of like dive in? You've grown it a ton since you've been in your current role. What was kind of the catalyst to getting that started?
Well, Let's Talk came about to Plainfield in 2019 under a different superintendent, and her sole purpose at that time when I was teaching was just to build morale and community externally. Since then, there's been some leadership change. I left the classroom. I'm now here. We now have a new superintendent. And his ultimate goal for this was customer excellence. It's something that we strive for here in Plainfield. How we talk to our customers, whether internally or externally, how we get them the information that they need is very, very important. So that's one of our goals here in district. But Let's Talk has been so great for us here in district, where we have been able to build several different forums. And the platform itself has helped us streamline communication greatly. So with our 15 schools, we now have various different buttons for those schools where anybody can contact the school. It goes directly to the principal, their assistant principal, and the front office staff. And then an answer is returned to them with whatever their inquiry may be. And the same for the different offices here as well. But it's been such a great tool. Regarding the output that we've done different news stories, different press releases. When we went through a rezoning project, that was our biggest push utilizing Let's Talk. We went through a rezoning project for our elementary schools. Folks were pushed to Let's Talk to submit an inquiry or to submit a request to us through Let's Talk, and it went to our enrollment division, where they were able to get an answer about a question they may have had, to file any paperwork with the add files feature, and that went straight to them, and they were able to get a response back, and of course rate us for our service as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're using it in such efficient ways and thinking kind of out, quote unquote, outside of the box. And what are some timely pieces that we have? I know we have a handful of districts that are going to be going for bonds in 2022. Like you said, this is a great way to be gathering feedback, ask those questions that folks have. And we didn't have it then, but with our new generative AI chatbot, just quickly, you could launch a chatbot, which would help answer some of these things. And so, Vashon, I know as you've been building it out and putting some of these topics up for these schools, or I know you've also launched ones with very specific topics and information that you've needed to build. And so you've leaned a ton into our custom forms and workflows. We'll get to workflows in a second, but wanted to know, why was it that you were like, I really need these custom forms versus we have an average form that comes straight out of the box? What made you kind of inspired to use that new form feature and build out as many as you did?
So, if I'm being honest, one day I was sitting in my office, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I gotta figure this out. Excuse me a moment. Had a Teams call coming in. I gotta figure this out one way or another. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I gotta do something. So I was sitting down and I saw an email come in from Let's Talk, and it said forms, customize your forms. So I was like, oh, that's great. Maybe we can use that. At that time, my office is fairly new. We're going on year 2 with the Office of Marketing and Communications. We were trying to find a system where we could utilize a ticketing system, almost like, for any requests that come into this office. And my office is responsible for branding, social media, websites, presentations, resolutions, board meetings. I mean, the whole thing. And the emails were just coming in, and it was just too much coming in. So I had looked into a ticketing system, and the price came in at about $65,000. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That's kind of silly to do. So when custom forms came in, that's when we created our first form, which is the OMC project intake form. I won't touch on the workflows until you tell me to, but it's the best. We use forms for almost anything. We just created another form today for catering services, for our food services. We have one for affirmative action, for COVID-19 reporting that we used. We have one for any payroll concerns, any staff that might have an issue with their compensation check. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And I can get you a list of those forms that we have, but that's where forms came in for Plainfield.
Yeah, and I think I remember when we were setting these up, it was really helpful. Like you said, of like these emails were just coming in, but you we're needing to have a little bit more of that back and forth of like, okay, well, I need a little bit more information of like, what school site are you at? If it was COVID, like, what are some of the symptoms that you're
Yes,
experiencing, et
yes,
cetera.
yes.
And so with those forms, you were then able to gather all that information up front and save some of that back and forth, which is really helpful. But when we first set it up, kind of a roadblock we ran into was you were getting all these forms and you were like,
Oh,
I
yes,
can't do this.
I was
Yeah.
getting all of them. I was getting all of them. And then I would get ones that really had nothing to do with me, like harassment, intimidation, and bullying forms for parents. Those don't
Yes.
need to come to me. Those need to go to student services.
Right.
Open Public Records Act forms, those were coming to me as well. Those don't need to go to me. Those need to go to the superintendent and to the business office. So Sharon was like, well, why don't you try workflows? And then when I looked into settings, they had this big button that said new next to it. And it was kind of like flashing. And I clicked on it and I was like, oh, 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 we got to do it. So I have a team of 7 of us. And there's certain responsibilities that those individuals are responsible for. So when in the form, if a certain category is triggered, for example, social media, that goes directly to our media and communication specialist. Goes directly to her, she gets it. I'm copied on it, but she's the team owner for that particular item. Anything for our website, it goes directly to the webmaster. He gets it, he handles it. Anything for event coverage or photos or videos, that goes to our multimedia team. They get that, and then it gets added to our content calendar. They go out and cover the event, and then that gets handled that way. But custom workflows has been amazing, including for our COVID-19 reporting. So we have 15 campuses, 13 early childhood centers, and our nurses were able to have access to the same form. And from there, they were able to get routed a particular COVID case based on the site or the campus that was triggered, or whichever one they were assigned to in the workflow. But it's great. Like, we love it here. We're going to continue to use it as long as it's still out there. And we have some other, other ways we think that we can use it moving forward as well.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not going away. They'll still always be there, which is great. And so the workflows and the forms really are your friend. This helped alleviate Vashon getting all of these like COVID-19 reporting forms that were coming in. Instead of waiting on him to then disperse them out, we built those workflows so they went immediately to the nurses and they had that right up front. They can take a little bit of time to get set up, not too much time. But if you're like, I need some help with this, or I would like somebody to help me do this, Vashon and I, we set up a call, we busted them out together. Our team can help with that. So.
And Sharon, to your point, when you helped me the first time, but since then I've been able to figure it out on my own. So at first it is going to be tricky. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be very tricky, but once you got it, I mean, you've got it. Like, it's golden. It's done. I did one today within an hour, and I sent it right back to our food services.
It's you're right, Vashon. Once you're in there and you see it, you're off and running. So utilize your CSMs. We're here to help you get any of these set up and do it for you. So when it comes to saving time in the long run, kind of switching gears a little bit, Spokane, I know that you did something a little different because we're talking about now using Let's Talk, and we have all these forms set up, but we also need to gain some buy-in. So you all set it up to be a slow rollout to schools. We started with topics on your landing page, and then school-related questions were coming in for you all, and you were doing a little bit of triaging them before we fully built it out and launched it everywhere. Can you kind of talk to us about your strategy behind this?
Well, the short answer is that's kind of how it was set up when I got here. I don't know if I would have done it that way, but I did understand that we needed to show schools how it worked before having them jump in. They needed to really experience it as see how time saving it could be. Trish, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I agree. You know, we really needed to get proficient in it. And if we were comfortable with using the platform and the buy-in, we would have more of that positive buy-in from our schools, especially since we're so large. We have to roll it out to everyone and have all of our questions answered before we can put it in their hands. So.
Yeah, and Trish, remind me, I think when we did roll it out to schools, did you get some what we would call like an early adopter school that would say like raise their hand and say, "Yep, I want to take this on. I want to lead the charge." But then not only are they getting that experience, but they're really setting the example for other schools. Did you all feel like that helped by getting those on board first versus just launching it to everybody?
Yeah, we did not really quote unquote pilot, but we kind of did you know, a few schools started first and then we brought in a few more and then we brought in a few more. So we can kind of uh, have that availability to give them the support that they really needed if we rolled it out slowly to each group of schools, just because we
Yeah.
had so many and, you know, with the different departments and things like that, we wanted to roll out to. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And every district does it different. You all know your district's best and do what's going to work best for you. But this approach really worked for Spokane. And it was a great example for me being kind of newer, getting to see that roll out as well. Um, Something I know that you all have been really successful with is getting families in your community to use Let's Talk. A lot of times districts will say, well, now we've launched it, but like, how do we actually get people to use it? And how do we get them excited and to know where to go? So can you talk to us about how you promoted it and really have gotten it out there and made it such a successful tool for you?
Yeah. Teresa, do you want to take that one because you do a lot of promoting on social media?
Yeah, so I feel like our strategy was just put it everywhere. Every communication we did what included the Let's Talk link at the end. Like questions, go to Let's Talk on social media, in our newsletters, it's in the footer of our newsletter. It's on our website, on our homepage, we have the tab. We also created custom tabs specifically for our school pages. So when they're on their school page, it will go to their school. And if they're on a district page, it will have all the district topics. And then we could always, obviously you intake the dialogue and then you decide, I don't know why I got this, and we reroute it to where it needs to go, but they were still able to get to the right place. And we even would promote it in interviews when we were doing interviews with local media, saying like, what are concerns from parents? What do parents do if they need help? And our superintendent would say, go to Let's Talk. It's on our website. Anybody can use it, or anybody in the community. You can share your thoughts with us and you can find the support you need. And so we also did some things like we replaced on Facebook, instead of having Messenger, we replaced that with a contact us link that would go to Let's Talk. And we did that on all of our school Facebook pages too. I gave those topic links to school administrators so they could put it in their newsletter and they could put it on their social media. So just making that and truly training our audience. So when, especially on social media, we would get comments about anything, we say register for the bus and they say, I did register and it said I'm denied. And they want us to solve that for them. Facebook is not the place where we're going to solve that. You're not going to give us your address and your student's name and their ID number and all those things that we need to look up your information to address this, but you can go to Let's Talk and you can do those things. And so we respond to comments, just here's the link, here's the link, here's the link. And that's, and people have stopped leaving as many comments because they know we're not going to answer some of those questions because it's not an appropriate venue for that anyway. So making it easy to access on mobile and on our website in as many different places as possible. We started replacing a lot of where it'll say email this person and it'll just have a generic department email. We've started replacing some of those with Let's Talk, and also some Microsoft like intake forms, and it not even having to create a custom form, but just creating a topic for that. We've recently done that with our homeless support team. So instead of using a Microsoft intake form, they just complete a Let's Talk, and it goes to that department, and they are able to get that family the resources they need. So we've started doing that in a lot more places. And so I think our district as a whole is also learned how to use it and how it can be effective. That there's a better solution than just an email that goes to one person that gets that forward and gets lost in the shuffle, versus the accountability that we have with Let's Talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel Teresa and her team did a fantastic presentation at Ends for this year. And something that she said was that their board actually reached out and was like, is our server down? Because why are we not getting these emails? Because they were starting to filter it through Let's Talk. And it was like, actually, these are now coming through Let's Talk. So we're still receiving this feedback, but you're not getting inundated with it.
Yeah, we've really set a system where we address issues before they become problems that get brought to the school board. And it's really made us responsive to our community. And we've done that with creating custom landing pages and categories for different departments that have the highest frequency of usage, transportation and registration. There's a lot of different intricacies to those programs. And so we really have used Let's Talk to help funnel the information to the right people and train our customers to get us the information we need in order to help you. It's not enough to just say, I can't register my kid for the bus as a hidden customer. It's like, we can't help you because we need your address, we need your school, we need your student grade, we need all this information. And so it's been a really great communication platform too, to have those introductions on topics to, here's all this information, here are all these links. And if you still don't know what to do, or you're still having issues, then you can send us a message.
Absolutely. I love what you said of just have to train our customers, which is true. We're creatures of habit. And so when we introduce something new, I love that you really are just building the habit for everybody of let's go to Let's Talk, let's go to Let's Talk, and just really quote unquote training them. That's very true. Thank you.
Yeah, and it really holds the parents in the community accountable to us, because if they say, oh, I never got a response, we have that documentation that, oh, maybe it didn't get to them, but there is that documentation in the dialogues that show you've responded or you've forwarded to this person and they responded. So it works out well.
And,
Yeah,
and just to add to what you said, it also holds us responsible too, because we do have a mission as a mission or responsibility to also be responsive as well. So I do agree with everything you both said, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point, Vashon, is we also have some accountability that we need to show up and make sure that it's being responded to, and help build that trust with our parents and our community. And so, Vashon, speaking of, in 2022, 2023, you all had received around 418 dialogues, but then in 2023, 2024, last school year, y'all received almost 1,400. So almost 1,000 dialogues more. That's a really big jump. Seems like you maybe did some training or promotion with your customers. Kind of talk us through what you did to start to remind folks, like, this is where you go, this is what you need to be doing, to be using Let's Talk.
So similar to my colleagues here as well, we also have a weekly newsletter where we also push it out as well, where there's a button for them to respond to or to be pushed to. We have different rules set up in different inboxes where messages will go from their inbox directly to Let's Talk. When calls come in, we have just recently introduced something new. When calls come in to the district, pick up the call, we're actually recording what the person is saying and typing, so that way they get an email response back with that information. So whatever they're reporting to us, we also have been doing it that way to capture interactions with different customers that have come into district. Again, whether internally or externally. Internally, that has been the push this school year, this past school year, where customers, sorry, another team's call, superintendent, where customers have been coming in directly I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought seeing that call come in. Where our employees, excuse me, have been utilizing Let's Talk to interact with different offices here within district. So that has also boosted our score or our dialogues in between as well. And of course, just pushing the community to log into Let's Talk.
Yeah. And both of you have done a great job too of you're looking at your topics and saying like, what's a popular topic? Do you maybe need to expand here and offer some more direct topic versus just saying like transportation? Do we need to say
Yes.
like bus routes or kind of break it down a little bit more?
Yes.
And that's always something that your CSMs can help do of look at your data and kind of see what's going to be happening, which is a little trigger for what's coming next month. So thank you, panelists, for sharing so much. There's so much valuable information out there. If anybody ever has questions, or if maybe you'd like to pick the brains of one of these panelists, I'm always happy to introduce you to them as well. Let me go ahead and share my screen back with them. Like I said, they're a wealth of information, so please reach out if you have any questions. And thank you all for sharing everything that you have learned in your journeys with Let's Talk. I just want to give a reminder that we have our free VIP consult, which is available until the end of the month. So August 31st, holy moly, I think that's already this weekend. If your district has conducted some surveys this past year, whether it's been Engage, Google surveys, Qualtrics, etc., if you'd like for us to take a look at them, kind of see what we can do to enhance your Let's Talk implementation, definitely reach out, scan that QR code. I'll include it in my email follow-up as well. Again, this is only running through the end of the month. So if you're like, maybe, go ahead and just reach out. We can always have the conversation, see if it's a good fit before we make any moves forward. And again, this is a free offering for us. So like I said, a little teaser as to what is coming next month. Next month, we're going to be talking all about your dashboard. We're going to be going through everything in your dashboard, just get you acquainted with it, top to bottom. What does that word cloud mean? Why are they different colors? What does my entry point mean? How do I know what topics are being utilized? We're going to learn how to pull specific data. So your dashboard, that homepage, there's so much more that it can be doing. We'll be looking at that and we can be breaking down topics. And then we're also going to explore the comparison reports. A lot of times people don't know that those are even an option in your dashboard. So we'll be looking at how you can be diluting and looking at data based off of users or topics or even categories. So that'll be a great way for us to really get our hands in and be looking at everything with that. Thank you, Olivia. You can go ahead and sign up directly in the chat or scan that QR code as well. Well, I want to say again, thank you so much to our panelists for coming. You have been so informative. We really appreciate you just being our partners and showing up and doing this with us today, and appreciate all of you who have shown up and joined us today. Wishing everybody a smooth start to our 2024-2025 school year, and we will hopefully see y'all next month.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks. Bye.